Can you imagine the emotions today for Danica Patrick? She is back at the place that made her a household name. Remember 2005 when she took the world by storm, in the lead late and finished fourth as a rookie behind Dan Weldon? Today she is back for the first time in 7 years, but also for the final time, period, the end. Her driving career comes to an end when her race does today. The first woman to win an IndyCar Series race, Japan in 2008. She finished third here back in 2009. Back in 2018 to close the book. Here's Hannah Storm.
Can't think of a better place to end than here, where it all began, and just come really full circle.
Why was it so important to you to end your career here?
Good memories, a lot of memories, period, all brought together for one last race. And so it's going to be an emotional race day, but I'm going to try and have as much fun as possible and go out with the best possible finish I can manage.
What do you remember the most about being here as a rookie and leading those 19 laps?
I just remember feeling so humble because it was easy. Like, it just was. The car was good. It was really fast. Like, I just remember it being easy. And I remember thinking, just stay humble. Like, there's no way it can be this easy all the time. If there's one thing that I've learned about life in general, but especially this track and its history and its life that it has here, is like, don't be too cocky.
Look at this! And the crowd is jumping up and down. Look at this, it's absolutely amazing.
Danica Patrick has moved out into the front. Danica Patrick is for real, and she leads.
Why do you think that what you were able to accomplish here at Indy, why did it resonate so strongly outside of your sport?
I mean, that's a great question. I don't really know, other than the fact that there's only a couple things that one, I'm always honest, and so I think people can connect with that. They see that, they feel that.
And the trailblazing aspect to what you've done.
I'm a girl.
By the way.
Yeah. If I would have thought of myself as being different and being a girl and how am I doing for a girl, well, then that would have been the gauge, right? And then my mind would have been fixated on that limit or that potential, and it never has been.
Have you made it easier for women who have dreams in the sport?
Our mind is incredibly powerful, so as soon as you think that you can do something, you can. That's really the teaching. Not me doing something. Me doing something doesn't make you able to do something, right? You have to believe it. And so there are going to be skeptics and there are going to be believers from the very beginning, and then it's how you deal with the situation, you know?
What are you going to be able to do that you haven't been able to do that you're really excited about?
I'm excited to just have generally less pressure. Like, I feel like in my evolution, I enjoy doing things that are artistic and creating, and so I want to do more of that and less of the, you know, knot in my stomach, holy, do it, you dig deep, you know, this is what you do, Danica. Like, I'm excited to let go of that and, like, just relax.
The legacy question has to be asked. What do you think it will be in terms of racing?
More than anything, I just hope they remember me as a great driver and that I was a girl. That is not something to be dismissed. I think that that's part of my story. I'm proud of it. It's helped me. It's hurt me. I just hope people remember me as a great driver.
And this summer, Danica Patrick will do something else that no other woman has ever done before. She will host the ESPYs live on ABC, presented by Capital One. It is Wednesday, July the 18th from the Microsoft Theater. It's the night where sports and entertainment collide, though that's sort of happening here today, too. Actor Chris Hemsworth, Thor, he also played James Hunt in the movie Rush. He's going to wave the green flag today.
And starting her 8th career Indy 500 in 7th position, returning for her first Indy 500 since 2011, and retiring from racing at the conclusion of today's event, Danica Patrick. Now moving up to row 2.
How about the third row and the star power here?
Think about Danica Patrick. Came here 13 years ago. She will retire from IndyCar racing here today. Only fitting she drives number 13. She wants to win an Indy 500, just like Elio and Scott Dixon the 2 other drivers in her row.
Danica Patrick in the final race of her driving career, starting 7th today. Rick?
Well, when it comes to IndyCar, Danica Patrick is a finisher. When she left the series 7 years ago, she had set the record for the most consecutive finishes. Made it to the checkered flag 50 times in a row. But, as any race driver will tell you, that's not enough. You also need to be fast to win this race. And this month, the Ed Carpenter team has given her a fast car. So let's think about this. A person who can finish with a fast car, that could make this a very memorable last race for Danica Patrick.
So looking at some people that have moved up and dropped back off the start, Danica Patrick has slipped back 5 positions from her grid spot of 7th. She's back in 12th. Rick?
Yeah, and she's already come on the radio and talked about the fact that the car is getting understeer. In fact, we're hearing that from a lot of the drivers who are radioing back to their team saying that they're getting understeer. And they've already talked about the fact that in this next pit stop, they're potentially looking at doing a wing adjustment on the front end of the car to try to counteract that. So understeer, it's not steering hard enough when you go into the turn. Imagine you're on ice and you're turning that left turn and instead you're skating out towards the wall. That's not what a driver wants.
Yeah, Rick, and we're also seeing on the telemetry and listening as we're on board with Danica how much she had to lift off the throttle to go through the corner in turns 3 and 4. Let's see it again.
That's all the way off. That's not lifting. That's taking her foot off the throttle. Now watch how much steering movement she has.
That means it's a very nervous race car anytime you're jostling with the steering wheel like that. But let's not forget also we had rain in the overnight, washed some of the rubber off the racetrack. This racetrack is different than the last time they drove on the final practice on Friday.
What really shocks me about her lifting is she has clean air in front of her. There aren't any cars in front of her, so she doesn't have to go through turbulent air. If she gets up somebody else's gearbox, it'll be much worse.
Danica Patrick, the first one to pit. Rick?
Yeah, early on, Jan was talking about the question, do you go for fuel or do you go for tires? Well, in this case, it's tires and the concern about the balance of the car. They were concerned about that. As a result, they said they're going to take half a turn of wing out and send her back out. There you see they make that adjustment and send her back out into this race.
Trouble, Danica Patrick.
On a break. On a break.
And that will be how her driving career in Indianapolis ends. Safety team there. Patrick beginning to climb from the car. Top right.
Very similar to Ed Jones. In the middle of the turn, the back end starts to come around. I thought that she was dealing with a car that was very neutral, too positive on the front. When we watched her earlier in the race, that means it's very difficult to turn into the turn because the back end wants to swap ends. Not sure if that's the case there, but looks very similar, as you mentioned, Eddie, to Ed Jones.
Oh, that's just a loose car. The back end just got away from her. And there's nothing you can do once it goes. You cannot catch it in time. Look how she puts her hands down.
Running in 17th at the time. Another look from Alexander Rossi's on board.
Good job, good job.
That was Alexander Rossi's spotter telling him good job, because he missed the accident. And Bev Patrick, not what they were hoping for today.
But what a career.
Rick?
Well, she had a very lengthy conversation with her crew during that last yellow. They were talking about the car and how it was doing. And one of the things she talked about was the fact that it got more unstable as they went into the run. Now, she was talking about understeer initially, but they were saying that she was saying to the team that it was just not doing what she wanted as the run got longer. And as you can see in this point, it did not work for her.
When asked why she came here to finish her career at Indianapolis, Danica said that this was the place. This was the place that that made her relevant. And she said the hesitation was she didn't want to ever take anything away from what she's accomplished here, but she did it because she had time to do it right. She was with a good team, with a good program. You saw that through qualifying, but this is not the way that she would have wanted the day to end. So Danica Patrick riding to the medical center after crashing while running 17th, shy of 200 miles of this Indianapolis 500-mile race.
Today's result does not take anything away from everything that she managed to do in a race car.
So you lead my next question, which is legacy as a race driver. Danica Patrick has come from the medical center and is with Jan.
Has just walked to my position here. Very emotional. First of all, Danica, are you okay?
Yeah.
What happened in turn number 2? It looked very similar to what happened to Ed Jones just a few laps prior.
Yeah, the first thing I said was I'm not sure really what happened. So it just seemed to come around and it seemed pretty late off the corner. So I don't know. They said they looked back at the data and it was kind of like a little lift in the middle. It was a little bit of understeer and then back to it and it just swung. So yeah, you know, I mean, today was really disappointing for what we were hoping for and what you want for your last race, but I'm grateful for all of it, so wish I could have finished stronger.
Are all the emotions you're dealing with specific here to Indy, knowing that how much of a difference that made in your career, or now that you're looking at an entire career that's wrapped up?
Yeah, it's an entire career. I mean, but, you know, what really launched it was this, so it's both of them. You know, I've had a lot of good fortune here and did still have some this month. It just didn't come on race day, but we had some good moments.
You definitely did. Thank you, Danica.
Thanks.
Obviously not the way she wanted to finish. So Danica Patrick's driving career is done. Said she wanted to be remembered as a great race driver. I think it's fair to say she showed us she was. There are several stories of this day to talk about. One, the final race of Danica Patrick's career. Of course, coming here after running at Daytona earlier this year in the Daytona 500, saying the Danica double would be her last race. That not the way she wanted the final drive of her racing career to end, but a crash into the outside wall in turn number 2 at lap 68 would be the final circuit. Her mom Bev looking on. Danica did climb from the car and was okay. We did hear from her earlier. Patrick is done and will finish in 30th place in this, her last Indy 500. And 10 laps after the Jones crash, Danica Patrick's racing career came to an end with that hit.
Much the same as Ed Jones, and in that scenario, the back end went around. As we mentioned, very similar to the previous accident, but there she climbed out of the car, one of the most popular drivers that we've had in any sport, NASCAR or IndyCar.
And the drivers who had difficulty in the race, a number of drivers with crashes, including Canan, Castroneves, Bourdais, and Danica Patrick's final race wound up in the wall off of turn number 2. Final 3 finishers